Construction materials are valuable until they are not neatly packaged in a warehouse. After this, resources are seen as waste and are sent to landfills to die. We as a group do not see construction waste as something to be discarded. Rather, we see it as a resource. We aim to shed the mentality that waste is not a resource by shedding the skin of Hatfield just like lizards would shed their skins when they grow. Today we will delve into the current state of construction waste in Hatfield to show why we are changing waste to resources, followed by the target state of what we are changing in Hatfield to achieve this goal, and finally our challenge state, which will give us an in-depth explanation of how we will change Hatfield to shed the old mindset of construction waste. So let's begin. In Hatfield, construction waste is merely a symptom of a greater linear systems issue. The current behavior of our resources is that materials are mined, processed, used in construction, and demolished over time or at the end of a building's lifetime. Thereafter, 75% of construction waste is sent to landfill. Analyzing the data collected from our surveys, we found a heat map indicated notable concentrations of waste around active sites, contrasting with more dispersed occurrences along streets and other areas. Approximately 60% of waste was categorized as reusable with processing, 21.4% as easily reusable, and 5% being reused, and a rough 14% as unusable. The majority of waste found consists of broken concrete, brick stacks, organic waste, steel in various forms, building debris, and timber. We assessed waste volumes using modes of transport. The two most found volumes were wheelbarrow and bucky, shown with green and yellow nodes. Blue and red represent volumes above 1 ton, either indicating larger masses of active sites or passive dump sites. The size and phase of a site where waste was observed showed a large quantity of waste originates and come from civil infrastructures, campus development, and 1 to 2 story buildings in the form of demolition and potential waste. Standard practice of material recovery may save 25% of materials from landfill, but it falls short of best practice due to systematic issues, therefore allowing 38% of landfill to consist of our building resources. A quick study of recycling facilities showed that the industry in Hatfield is not geared towards construction materials. Anything that is not steel or plastic is sent to landfill. Hatfield is surrounded by 3 landfills within a 30-minute drive, but in less than 20 years they are estimated to be full and will be closed permanently. New landfills further away will be built, but cities can do better than drive up the cost of discarded materials. Together, the stakeholders, who are the University of Pretoria, the Hatfield City Improvement District, property developers, and the city inhabitants, its landowners and homeless population, have the chance to influence the construction system of Hatfield from one that discards to one that harvests.
Going to the target state, we are investigating what we are going to do to change waste into resources. Through our research, we've identified 4 main opportunities: change, harvesting, learning, and connecting. These principles underpin our strategies, which we've mapped out in a practical 12-year plan. Our principle of change is an all-encompassing driving force behind all of our interventions. Our interventions aim to not only upcycle the physical materials, but also the mindset around construction resources. The principle of harvesting has the criteria of transportation and storage that should be met with transportation networks and material libraries. Under learning, we want to join the local and formal knowledge about the use of construction waste as well as industry expertise of our developers. The principle of connecting aims to bring the needs of our stakeholders of Hatfield together. Our strategy to accomplish this will run parallel to the CID's ideals of Burnett Street. Our strategies of salvaging and education will happen immediately and run continuously throughout the redevelopment of Burnett Street.
The first thing that must be true for waste to become a resource is to change the language from salvaging waste into harvesting resources. The second thing that must be true is to understand harvesting is seasonal. For the construction resource system, it means material inflows and libraries should be diverse, with multiple scales of libraries from landfill to urban land and scales of stakeholder involvement. Looking at education, our stakeholders have different needs and knowledge, but typically exist isolated from each other. Therefore, there is a great opportunity for them to educate and learn from each other. Our strategy, implemented on Hilda Street, will provide space for just that.
With resources harvested, streetscapes will start to develop. In order for them to uphold quality, they will need updates every 3 years. With streetscapes completed, our pocket spaces will be developed starting in the second half of our second year. Upon assessing the current condition of Burnett Street, several concerning aspects have been identified, including a stark absence of shade, vegetation, and a distinct identity. Key metrics we've calculated are as follows: approximately 404,000 paving bricks, a mere 1.05 vegetation coverage, only 0.13% public seating availability, and limited activity options. Alongside these, our facade updates will also be implemented. Initially, comparing Hatfield's urban layout to global standards highlighted a stark contrast. Hatfield has a single layer of ground-level public space topped by residential areas, whereas global norms typically include a layered structure with public spaces, offices, and residential zones. A proposed paradigm shift suggests viewing the urban layout as an urban interior, integrating vertical and horizontal dimensions by converting the street facade into a public semi-public space. This involves demolishing the existing facade to use as construction materials. By reimagining the street's design, we can increase the interactive facade by 65%, elevate vegetation and permeability to 50%, and introduce 3 additional social pockets. These improvements not only enrich the street's aesthetic appeal, but also foster community engagement and sustainable urban development.
We will now look at the challenge state. With these aforementioned strategies and interventions, this aspiration of our challenge urban state will be achieved. The first step is harvesting. The largest harvest location is our landfills, followed by construction sites and scattered urban materials. Landfill harvesting requires on-site sorting in order to be transported to the appropriate locations. With in-situ unbuilding, materials are directly transported. Both feed into material libraries, acting as hubs for future design and learning. These libraries catalog and process resources, fostering innovation and public engagement. To identify material libraries, we looked at land uses and the transport spines that could connect them. The Hatfield Precinct Plan of 2020 was used to identify the Embassy Precinct, shown in blue, as long as 3 major activity cores, namely the student core, shown in orange, the residential core, shown in light yellow, and the business core, shown in dark yellow. We identified libraries ranging from small to large. The material libraries are placed in retail and commercial zones using abandoned buildings. The precinct boasts 4 potential library sites, of which a small site can handle public materials, and large sites accommodate facade stripping and repairs, doubling as a recreational space. The student core is a high-intensity mixed-use area. It supports diverse activities of student life. To avoid making library sites into warehouses, we propose making the site multifunctional, adapting the space for events and workspaces. In the residential core, there are 6 potential libraries, 3 on each side of the train track. The libraries focus on absorbing workable and reusable materials like steel, bricks, and ceramics, including one for public collections and another for organic debris. The business core is a densely populated precinct and show a strategy to partner with business stakeholders to set up small libraries for mixed materials and furniture restoration. Hatfield has an area of 25 square kilometers, of which 18,900 square meters can be utilized to house 16 libraries. With different scales of sites, the system can achieve a balance between localized collection and centralized harvesting. Looking at examples of what a material library could look like, opposite the fields on Burnett Street, we plan to repurpose an abandoned building into a furniture atelier. Here, waste harvesters deliver construction materials to the site. Then, the atelier will offer one-day classes for clients to craft their own furniture guided by university-trained coaches. Alternatively, clients can purchase furniture already crafted. This initiative aims to raise public awareness about reusing construction materials, fostering a sustainable community culture. A medium library in Burnett Street can specialize in specific types of materials or processing methods, such as the processing of concrete and debris, with an external supply of plastic to create materials suitable to meet the need of public seating. The system comes together in a circulation network that reintegrates materials into construction, enhancing efficiency and enabling citywide improvements.
Next, we're looking at education. As mentioned before, our stakeholders are isolated and therefore knowledge on how construction waste is researched, managed and reused are also isolated. We intend to bring education to the streets of Hatfield to break the limits of traditional learning and create a collaborative environment where our stakeholders can interact. Looking at the oldest sites on Burnett Street, we located this building on the corner of Burnett and Hilda that will need facade and spatial changes in the coming year. It is therefore an ideal space for researchers and students to experiment on before changing the facades on the Burnett Street buildings. In our Hilda Street Lab, we will create an opportunity for a synergistic relationship between formal and local knowledge of construction resources. The intervention will tie in with the harvesting principle, where resources are transported to Hilda, collected and sorted. This will provide much-needed job opportunities. Research and local knowledge on upcycling and reusing will be done, and ideas will be shared under our stakeholders. This shared knowledge will create new ideas on facade reconstruction and design. These ideas will be experimented on Hilda Street's buildings' facades first. Thereafter, context-appropriate facades will be implemented formally on the Burnett Street facades. By bringing education into the streets, we also allow for passive education, where active work and the continuous exhibition thereof can allow passing pedestrians to also learn about the possibilities of reusing construction resources.
Next, we will look into streetscape in more detail. Our analysis highlights a notable lack in public seating on Burnett Street, with a mere 0.13% found outside dining establishments. Nevertheless, there is a potential in utilising existing infrastructure by repurposing approximately 404,000 paving bricks and recycling an estimate of 143.5 tonnes of concrete and aggregate. Vegetation covers 1.05% of the street, leading to a shaded provision of 5.06%, contributing to the heat island effect. Hatfield, particularly Burnett Street, faces an identity crisis and a lack of communal spaces. So how can we improve Burnett streetscape using construction waste? Firstly, we are repurposing the existing 404,000 paving bricks to construct 2,000 square meters of permeable paving. This dual-purpose approach will help us in reducing traffic speed on the street, while also enabling us to capture rainwater, aligning with the water team's aforementioned initiatives. Our goal is to increase vegetation from 1.05% to a minimum of 50% to mitigate the heat island effect. In addition to vegetation, we aim to raise public seating from 0.13% to a minimum of 15%. Lastly, as mentioned earlier, Burnett Street currently only features one activity. This contributes to the lack of identity, culture, and community. Our goal is to reintroduce these elements into Burnett Street using construction waste, thereby enhancing the street's activity. We will achieve this through pocket spaces. The 3 pocket spaces we have identified are denoted by the yellow highlighted areas. The first pocket space is situated amidst office spaces, including the Hatfield CID's offices, and features existing public seating. Having established a functional circular waste system, our focus now shifts towards utilizing materials that are not reusable in the construction industry. We propose repurposing the timber collected and stored at the small-scale library on Burnett Street to create timber pallets. These pallets can then be arranged with vegetation to form flexible public seating. This approach not only adds aesthetic appeal but also ensures adaptability to the user's needs, thus encouraging the public to utilize the space effectively. By transforming this previously abandoned and unused space, we envision creating a dynamic landscape that fosters flexible social interactions and enhances community engagement. Our attention now shifts to the inner courts of Hatfield Square, a space currently unutilized due to its limited entrance and lack of public awareness. Surrounded by commercial establishments and offering a passage to Prospect Street, this area remains largely inaccessible to the public. To address this, we propose relocating Hatfield Square's waste collection site from its current position to the basement. This strategic move will create a more natural flow of pedestrian traffic through the space, encouraging greater public engagement. With increased pedestrian activity in mind, we recommend introducing an activity to the space. Utilizing metals processed and sorted at the Material Library on Hilda Street, we propose constructing a skate park. This transformative initiative will not only repurpose materials effectively, but also inject new life into the space, lacking identity, meaning, and purpose. The skate park will serve as a focal point around which social interactions can organically occur, creating vibrant social pockets along the facade overlooking the park. Our third pocket space focused on the parking area in front of the mall on Burnett Street. The introduction of a farmer's market by the food team has already set the stage for a vibrant social setting in this area. Expanding on this theme, we propose taking the social aspect further by repurposing the currently unused basement parking of the mall into a nightlife hub. During discussions with the Hatfield CID, they emphasized the effectiveness of safety and control in the previous Hatfield Square setup. Presently, students go out to the strip on Linwood Road, a bustling and less controlled environment according to the CID. By transforming the parking lot into a social space, we can recreate the safe and controlled environment the CID previously maintained, thus introducing the concept of Hatfield Square 3.0. This initiative approach not only revitalizes an underutilized space, but also addresses safety concerns while fostering an engaging social hub for the community.
Following the streetscape transformation, the street facade of Burnett Street will experience reformation because of design flows. Challenges arise from small windows or openings on the street facade, often due to noise concerns. This limits interaction on Burnett Street with its urban environment. Moreover, fences and boundary walls along the street worsen the pedestrian experience, being unfriendly. By repurposing these materials enables the implementation of natural shades for the interior through vertical urban farming, as well as natural ventilation. Additionally, the vegetation and void space of vertical urban farming can serve as a noise buffer, minimizing street noise entering the interior. To address these issues, we propose breaking down the facade, of which only 16% are interactive, potentially yielding significant resources, approximately 658,000 bricks, 71 tons of aggregate from mortar and concrete, about 1,165 square meters of metal, and roughly 2,066 square meters of glass from windows. Instead of demolishing the facade, the brick wall will be carefully disassembled for reuse. The mortar will then be cleaned off from the bricks to be repurposed as non-structural aggregates, while the cleaned bricks can be reused in new construction projects. By implementing the new method of constructing the brick wall with steel cables and integrating a vertical grain wall, reclaimed bricks will be assembled to ensure stable fixation and facilitate easier deconstruction in the future. Planter boxes also attached to the steel cables will be incorporated into the design, serving as a modular system for hosting vertical urban farming. This approach aims to reform Burnett Street, which currently only has 16% of its facade being interactive, lacking green wall and cultural space, into 65% of the street facade becoming interactive, with 50% adorned with green walls. Additionally, we envision incorporating at least 50 cultural spaces, either expanding onto the ground level from the street or integrated directly into the street facade. With regard to the interactive facade, our focus lies on establishing visual connections with the street to enhance safety and security through passive surveillance measures. Additionally, opening up the facade to human scale aims to create a pedestrian-friendly environment on Burnett Street, fostering community and vibrancy. Green walls in urban areas offer numerous benefits, including vertical farming, climate control, CO2 absorption, and noise reduction. They also provide privacy, regulate urban temperatures, and enhance overall well-being in urban environments. Implementing these strategies can repurpose surplus materials from reformation for street furniture like public benches and sculptures, enhancing Burnett Street's cultural appeal and creating a more inviting environment for pedestrians. Ultimately, reclaiming and reusing the bricks from about 11.5 thousand square meters of the street facade can save approximately 128 rand per square meter, which is 1.5 million rand in this project, representing 26% of total cost savings.
In conclusion, we aim to reconstruct Hatfield with our 4 interventions, from its current disconnected and flawed state by repurposing once forgotten construction resources. This transformation will turn Hatfield into a circular city where waste becomes a resource that addresses design flaws, fostering connectivity among stakeholders and creates a cultural identity that celebrates humans, all tied together with the golden string of construction resources.